What's going on, guys? Right behind me, teacher in the house, and I am here with my GPL Season 2 Draft Breakdown. Your right Warmer for Bombies are back. We're back for vengeance after crashing out of the quarterfinals last season. This, of course, is a Gen 8 draft. The draft has literally just gone down about an hour before I'm recording this video. So, yeah. This is the team. I'm really excited for this team. I'm really excited for this season. There have been some phenomenal drafts. So let's break down what we drafted and why I drafted it. And I think you're going to like this team. So, we were lucky enough to be third pick in the draft, which is not bad. It's a nice position to be in. We're not quite on the wheel, but we're pretty near it. It gives us quite a nice few pick options. Now, first pick, you might be able to guess by the stats on the screen. I would have been arguing that this pick should have been banned, but it was let through the draft and it was sent down to me. So, we grabbed our boy Zeraora. Now, of course, those of you who were here last season will be familiar with Transfer Zeraora. He took it to win the championship. Did get a slight nerf with no hidden power ice anymore to hit the ground types. And no Z moves. Does still get grass knot to hit the ground types though, and things like that. This thing is lightning fast. It's got really spammable moves and knock off plasma fists. Does also get play rough, so anything that hits the dragon typing might not be too nice. Does get knock off, of course. Does get volt switch to pivot out. It's a very solid mon. Does get set up on both sides as well. This thing, in my opinion, does not have very good checks, very good answers. So the fact that this thing was allowed in the draft is a little bit obscene to me. The fact that it's there makes me happy. I'm quite happy I get to use it. The fact it has Volt Absorb means I can stop other people Volt switching is even more disgusting. But yeah, Zeraora is definitely powerful. I'm looking forward to using this. It's a really good mixed attacker. So I can't wait to see if I can put this thing to good use. My next pick partners up pretty nicely with it, even though it doubles up down on ground weakness. We picked up Cobalion. Now, Cobalion's kind of an interesting Pokemon to me because it does get both Volt Switch and U-Turn for pivoting options, so I can U-Turn away instead of Volt Switching in case they run like ground Pokemon. It does also get Stealth Rocks. Hits pretty hard. Does get Swords Dance, of course. Does have the Justified ability, so anyone who tries to knock me off will give me an attack boost. Does get decent coverage moves as well. So this thing is potentially very, very scary. Definitely an interesting mon. Really decent physical bulk, as you can see there as well, at 129, and a decent speed tier as well. So this thing can be quite potent. Definitely looking forward to seeing what this thing has to offer. I think this is going to be very solid. I think this is a really good start for me in the draft. I got the 2 picks that I really wanted to pick. But yeah, especially at this point, a lot of people were picking their G-Maxes. So we're getting to the point relatively soon where everybody apart from myself and one other team already had their G-Maxes. A lot of people had them. So my next pick, I'm not going to lie to you guys, was a little bit of a scumbag move. Happy Nico, who was the coach in the 4th spot in the draft, he had Dracovish on his team. He got Dracovish. He actually traded it away to Solar Destroyer, but during the draft he still had it. And I was faced with a little bit of a dilemma. Now, a lot of people would have expected me to pick up Rabombi, of course. It is my mascot, it's my signature Pokemon. But I didn't really have plans to draft it. But sitting up there that I could not possibly allow to partner up with Dracovish is Whimsicott. I've actually been using Whimsicott quite a lot in Gen 8. I think this is a phenomenal Pokemon. With access to Prankster, it can set up Tailwind. It does also have Defog back now Home is out, which is also very nice. So that's something we can use. Pretty good Subseed user. It does have a decent speed tier, so can also be a good Spaxmon with Infiltrator. That's also a thing. Does get Chlorophyll as a hidden ability, but the Sun team is actually not in our draft. It's in the other division, so don't need to worry too much about that. But you never know. Might see some weird shenanigans. This thing is an interesting mon because it does actually get Trick Room and Tailwind, so I can particularly operate around both. I can counter Trick Room with my own Trick Room setter, which is kind of funny. You probably won't expect me to use that very often, but yeah. Nonetheless, decent Subseed mon, can be good offensively, does get Moonblast, does get Giga Drain. Got its Defog back, which is nice. Really happy to see Defog coming back. Alright, So, next pick, I decided to invest a little bit in bulk. I've got a steel type, I've got a fairy type, and a grass type. I do like my cores, as a lot of people know. I talk about cores all the time. So I decided a lot of teams were missing water types. So I decided to pick up mine. And I opted for Jellicent. Jellicent's a really cool Pokemon. Does get access to Water Absorb and Curse Body, which are two fantastic abilities. Water Absorb is especially good against Dracovish. Curse Body is actually really nice against other Pokemon. So this is a really nice, especially bulky but it can be good physically bulky as well. 70 base defense doesn't seem like a lot, but investing it fully does mean it can actually take hits. Unfortunately, Crunch does two-shot it from Dracovish, but Dracovish is a strong jaw, so it's pretty solid. Does get Toxic, does get Will-O-Wisp, does get Recover, of course, does get Hex, so it does get some pretty cool moves. Does get Scald, obviously. This thing can do a lot. It's known for its bulk more than anything else. It's got really good longevity, so we'll see if we can make good use of it. Does help quite a lot. Longevity with pivots is always nice. We do have good pivots in a Zeraora and a Cobalion, so having a nice bulky mon to pivot into is always nice. So, speaking of bulk, we are still missing a dragon type, so I decided to go further on the special bulk side and actually opt to pick up Goodra. Now, Goodra I was really surprised to see this low down, or this far down in a draft. I would have thought people would have picked it up. But this thing's got insanely good special bulk. This thing's a phenomenal assault vest user, but can also run other items really well. Does use leftovers quite nice. Does get iron defense, which can buff up that somewhat mediocre looking physical defense. Really good mixed attacker, especially because it can run decent physical moves too. But best known for its special presence, does get a lot of coverage options. Only thing this thing's missing is Defog, which is a little bit unfortunate. Does have nice abilities though. Sap Sipper is a grass immunity, which will help for things like Jellicent. It does also get Hydration and Gooey, which are nice abilities. Gooey slows down opponents that hits it with physical contact moves. I could be very useful actually in my week 1 match. I'll talk more about that soon. But yeah. Goodra is definitely interesting. Got a lot of special bulk. I have actually drafted it before, but I immediately dropped it afterwards to pick another dragon type. But yeah, I think this dragon's really interesting. I think there's a lot to offer from it. I do really want to try it. I've been meaning to try it for a while, and I just never got around to it. I've often picked like Hydreigon and Noivern, those kind of dragons that I like a lot more, the Lardis as well. Goodra sneaking down in low tier, definitely worth a little bit of a pickup. Alright, so next pick, I noticed my only real hazard removal came from Whimsicott with Defog. So I decided I'd invest a little bit further into Defog resources and pick up Sigilyph. Now, Sigilif's a really interesting Pokemon. I've drafted it a couple of times, but not really used it all that much. Sigilyph is a phenomenal Pokemon. It gets access to Cosmic Power, which makes it very bulky across the board. It does have nice abilities in Magic Guard, so I don't have to worry about heavy duty boots or anything like that. Does have other nice abilities in Tinted Lens and Wonder Skin, but Magic Guard is typically what you associate with it. But yeah, does get some very cool little sets. Back in Gen 6, it was known for Flame Orb Psycho Shift. Could definitely run some weird variants of that. Obviously, Cosmic Power, Stored Power with Roost and Defog is kind of the mainstay, but it does get shut down by Dark types, so we'll see. There's a lot of cool things I've got planned for this Pokemon. I'm not going to reveal them all or anything like that. I'm not going to spoil too much. But yeah, this Pokemon's really fun. I definitely can't wait to use it. Alright. Next up is going to be another mon I've constantly drafted and never used, and I've dropped it promptly. Is going to be Malamar. I have a love-hate relationship occasionally with Malamar, because Malamar's a great Pokemon. Access to Contrary makes it very interesting, especially if my opponent sets up webs against me or anything like that. I can get free boosts. Obviously, Contrary's superpower is really good because it buffs up the attack and defense stats. It does get a lot of cool moves, does get a decent amount of coverage, so it can be very strong. The quad weakness to Bug definitely sucks, but having a Dark typing is helpful, especially for Psychic types. There are lots of really good Psychic types in Gen 8 format, so having an immunity is always nice. But yeah, being quad weak to U-turn is kind of a bit of an issue, but I do have decent bug resists. Obviously I have things like the Jellicent, which can take it on well, the Cobalion and the Goodra, so I've got enough plays to be able to work around it. So I'm okay with this. Another thing I noticed that my team didn't have a lot of was webs. I didn't actually have a web setter on my team because things like Rabombi and Araquanid were taken. A long way in at this point by now. Everybody except me and Cap Guy and Agoshi, the coach of the now Team Body Press, we were the only ones that didn't have G-Maxes picked. So I knew I could just carry on picking C-tier picks. I didn't have to worry about my G-Max for a little while. So I decided to pick up a web setter. I picked up Excelgor. Excelgor, obviously known for that speed tier. It's actually faster than Zeraora, which is kind of funny. But yeah, does get webs, does get spikes, does get toxic spikes, which is nice. It's unlikely to ever be able to set up all three because defensively it's kind of garbage. Does get some fun little things like Final Gambit, which could be interesting. I could definitely blow somebody up with that. It's not got the best HP stat to abuse it, but it's definitely fun. It does get priority and Water Shuriken as well, but doesn't really have the damage output to be able to make use of it. But yeah, Excelgor's job gonna be as a web setter mostly, which could be interesting. Sadly, Cinderace is actually in the other conference, it's not in ours, so I can't abuse the fun mechanic for there, but yeah, nonetheless, Excelgor's really fun to use. I think it's got potential to be really good. It does also get U-turn, which is interesting. I can pivot around with it a little bit more, which will help things like the Cobalion and the Zeraora, as well as some of my other Pokemons. Alright, so at this point, I had a choice of what my last C-tier pick was going to be and what my G-Max was going to be. So I still don't have a fire type and I still don't have a ground type. So I was thinking about going for G-Max Colossal, looking at that. But then I looked at my ground weaknesses, obviously with Zeraora, Cobalion being my main offensive threats, being both weak to ground. I do have some okay ground resists, and obviously I have ground immunities in Sigilyph, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I opted to go down into C tier and pick up Rapidash. Rapidash was sitting there. Pretty good Swords Dancing Mon with a decent speed tier. Does definitely help it out a lot. Can also be a good banded user. Gets Flare Blitz, gets Wild Charge, does get Drill Run as well. It does get quite a decent amount of coverage moves, so I can definitely make good use of this thing. It does lack a little bit defensively and doesn't have recovery, which does kind of suck. But nonetheless, this thing can hit pretty hard. It's definitely something you need to watch out for. That 105 speed tier is definitely nothing to be sniffed at. My team is actually surprisingly fast, so that's something to bear in mind. I do need to be careful about Trick Room things. But this thing can hit like a truck if it's allowed to do damage, so we'll see what happens with Rapidash. Which means my last pick is my G-Max. It was actually the third last pick of the draft. And I decided to grab the Base Snake Sandaconda. I love this mon because it's phenomenal on the physical bulk. I've got great special bulk with Jellicent and Goodra especially. Physically bulky, not the best outside of Cobalion. So picking up Sandaconda definitely makes a lot of sense. Sandaconda gets Coil, of course. Does get Iron Defense as well, I believe. It does get Body Press, which is a very cool little tech move. Can hit a lot of mons really hard. This G-Max is not the best move in the world, but it does... it does basically trap the opponent in a sandstorm for 4 or 5 turns, which is nice. This mon does get toxic as well, so it can do a lot. It's got a lot of options. It does lack a little bit, especially defensively, but I can probably work around that, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Coil Body Press, Iron Defense Body Press, those are kind of the main ways Sandaconda gets used. Does get Earthquake, does get Drill Run. It does get a few little bits of coverage moves. I'm not going to talk about those because that might reveal my strategy for week 1. But yeah, either way, that's going to be our draft. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun draft. But either way, our first opponent is going to be Tyler Poketrainer, of course, my teammate for the SPPL, and my Soling partner, and a very good friend of mine. So that's going to be a very fun match. I hope you guys are looking forward to that. We are actually planning on doing that match live and in call, so there'll be a bit of banter going on between the two of us. So it's definitely going to be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But either way, I need to get on out of it because I need to start prepping my team. But yeah, that's going to be it from me, so thank you so much for watching. My name is Rabombi Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.